Hello, fellow Detroit Tigers fans, and, well, I'm in the boat that I believe the Tigers need to sell at the trade deadline in 2017. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but there's going to be a large number of people that do agree with me. Because, of course, we want to see the Tigers make the postseason and finally win a World Series since 1984. We want to see that, but the Tigers, they have a good team on paper. That team has not done well so far this year. Now, few of their players are on the list of hardest hit balls, like Miggy, Castellanos. They're both on. I think they're 4 and 5 respectively. The hardest hit balls in at least the American League, but Castellanos is only hitting in the 230s. Miggy's in the 260s, and I mean, of course, that's a lot of bad luck there, but it's still showing how the Tiger season has been. They've been hitting the balls real hard. They've been hitting the baseballs hard and well, but they cannot get anything to go their way. The bullpen ranks dead last in the entire major leagues. Now, stop me if you've heard that before. Tigers' bullpen has been bad for a long, long time. Mostly because they don't develop a lot of their own bullpen pieces. And the ones that they do, because of poor drafting and amateur free agent signings, they haven't really panned out. That's for another video, the Tigers' horrible drafting, at least for the last couple of years. It's been good for the last couple of years. But they need to develop more, which they're doing. They are developing more relievers, which is nice. That could help out down the road. But 2017, I know it's only July 1st when I'm filming this, July 1st. About maybe halfway, little less than halfway through the season. But when your team has the second worst record in the American League, and I believe 5th or 6th overall worst record, that is not good. Especially a team that has the second, I believe, highest payroll in baseball, second or third. Your team should not be almost dead last in the entire major leagues. They got beat 2 out of 3 by the San Diego Padres. How? I know the Tigers, they're not great on the road, especially on the West Coast. And yes, you can give them a little leeway for the time change. It is 3 hours behind Eastern time. But they were on the East Coast for a week, or over a week, and they still couldn't figure anything out. They got swept 4 games by the Mariners, which are a team pretty much in the same boat as the Tigers. And then San Diego, one of the worst teams in baseball for the past few years. I don't think they've been to the playoffs since 2011. They took 2 out of 3 against San Diego. They did win the finale of the series, the Tigers, but they almost lost. It was a 5-5 game for a long time. I think until the 9th inning. And then they won that, and then they won 2 out of 3 against Kansas City. And as of right now, as I'm speaking, it's 4-1 Tigers against Cleveland. So now they're on a little winning streak, and everybody's happy and saying, "Oh my God, the Tigers are still a good team. No, we should not sell." That is not the case. And I know I've been kind of rambling about stuff, but I need to get this off my chest, and a lot of people are going to agree. JD is a free agent after this year. Upton can opt out. Now, that's very unlikely to happen, but it is a possibility. Alex Avila, who's having another all-star caliber year like he did back in 2011, is a free agent after the season. And I believe it might be about it. I'm probably missing somebody off the top of my head, but J.D. Martinez is a free agent after this year. The Tigers do not have the money to bring him back. So there is your void in right field. Kristen Stewart's not ready yet, and he's mostly played, I believe, left field in the minor leagues. So, what's that tell you? Kristen Stewart hasn't even played at AAA yet. So you don't want to rush him to the majors and then him falter like the Tigers have done with so many players. Jacob Turner, Daniel Field. But you have those players. Ian Kinsler could be a free agent after this year. He has an option for next year. Tigers have no second base prospects. I guess you could say prospects in their minor league system. Devin Travis. That was a fun trade, wasn't it? So the Tigers really need to do something. I'm not saying a full tear down rebuild. Not saying that, but something similar to 2015. They did so well in 2015. I mean, not record-wise, but in their trades. They traded David Price to Toronto for Daniel Norris, Matt Boyd, and Jairo Laborde. Jairo Laborde is going to be representing the Tigers along with Beau Burrows in the Futures All-Star game. Matt Boyd and Daniel Norris have had success in the minors. A lot of people are complaining about Norris. Norris is fine. He's only 24. So, come on. I think Matt Boyd will be a fine 4 or 5 starter. I think he can actually do well as maybe even a setup man in the bullpen. I know that sounds weird, but a lot of starters have become lights out setup men or closers. And I think Boyd could possibly do that. But back to the 2015 trades. Yoenis Cespedes to the Mets for Luis Cessa, and some pitcher that we don't really know about named Michael Fulmer. I don't know about him, but I'm just kidding. Fulmer's awesome. Cessa, he was traded along with Chad Green to the Yankees for Justin Wilson, and Cessa been doing okay with the Yankees, and Chad Green's been doing very well. More prospects traded. And then the final trade of 2015 was Joakim Soria to the Pirates for Jacoby Jones, who is going to be our future center fielder. I don't know why it just has to be center field. He can play so many positions, but they just narrow him to center field. Yeah, he's great there, but if Ian Kinsler goes, Jacoby Jones can play second. Why can't you make him your second baseman? I don't know. I mean, Tigers don't really have much in the way of prospects anyway, so they don't have second base. They have outfield, not so much center field, so but they need to do something like that, like 2015. They were able to acquire those 6 nice prospects. Laborde did struggle his first couple seasons with the Tigers, but since being pushed to the bullpen role, he's been amazing. So I know I always do this with my hands, but oh well. Tigers, I believe, need to trade at the trade deadline. I don't think they need a full rebuild because their lower level minor leaguers, like Single A, Western Michigan, the Connecticut Tigers short season, and then their rookie leagues are good. They're good, but they're upper level. They're the Mud Hens, Triple A. The Seawolves, Double A, and the Flying Tigers, High A, are bad. They are not good. The upper level of the Tigers minor league system are bad. And what did the Tigers do this past offseason to make up for that? They signed a ton, and I mean maybe 30 or 40 minor league free agents to maybe even more to compete and play in those upper levels. That's not how you stock a farm system. You can. It does help. I mean, of course, you always teams are always going to sign minor league free agents, and that's nice. Some of the ones the Tigers have signed have helped them. Jim Adduci. John Hicks wasn't a minor league signing. He was a minor league waiver pickup last year, but in a way, I guess you could count that. He's helped Alex Presley. It's helped a lot. Then Arsenio Leon. I know he struggled in his last 2 games before getting sent down, but he was doing very well. And he's still doing well at Toledo. He has struggled his couple last games since being set down, but if you're a reliever and you just struggle in 2 games out of 5, it looks like you've struggled in all 5 games. So they actually did well with that, but they need prospects. So I think they need to trade a few players and get upper level system prospects for like high A, double A, and triple A. Not necessarily low A or the lower minor leagues because, like I said, those teams are actually doing well. They need upper echelon talent. So JD, Kinsler, Avila could get you probably 2 top 30 prospects. I would say maybe a number. I would say maybe a number 10 and maybe like a number like 25 to 30, like a 10 to 15 and a 25 to 30. Very possible because last year when the Tigers traded Brian Holiday, who has only one full major league season under his belt. When they traded him to the Rangers, they acquired Bobby Wilson, who was a journeyman backup catcher, and they acquired Miles J, who is now one of the Tigers' top prospects in Double A. That's pretty good. And then when they traded Bobby Wilson, they were able to get Chad Bell, who's been doing very well for the Tigers. And with Avila having he's had a solid career. I know he's had injuries and his batting average hasn't always been good, but he gets on base. He's a lefty hitting catcher with power, and he's a good catcher with a good arm at getting base stealers. Tigers could probably get a couple prospects, maybe not 2 top 30, but I think they could probably get like a number 10 to 15, maybe 25 to 30. But if they can't get the 25 to 30, I think they can get a 10 to 15, and then somebody like Chad Bell, who wasn't really ranked, but he's done well in his career. JD, I think you could get maybe you might be able to pry away a number 1 prospect, maybe from a weaker system, maybe like a Diamondback system or an Angels system. But you're not going to get like a number 1 from, let's say, like the Yankees or the Dodgers. But you could very well get a number 2 or 3, and then maybe even a number 10 or 11 for JD. Kinsler, probably about the same. Maybe more or less a 3 or 4, and then maybe like a 50. You might be able to get away with 3 for Kinsler because of how long he's performed in his career. You might be able to get 2 prospects, and then maybe even a major league player that you have for several years. That's always a good thing to look into. Even if you are rebuilding, if the player has, let's say, 2 years of major league experience under his belt, and I think they'd be under team control for 4 more years, I believe. 4 more years of team control and a player who's already somewhat established themselves, that'd be awesome. Then, I mean, whoever else they trade, they could get a good amount. Now, if they decide to do a full rebuild, which I will say I have no quarrels against, if they do a full rebuild, I would be for it. I don't think they really need to, but I would not be upset if they did. So that means if they decided to trade Verlander, Cabrera, somehow trade Upton, somehow just get rid of Sanchez. Although the game he's been pitching today has been very good. He's done very well today. They still need to get rid of Sanchez, though. He's a free agent after the year. A team might look at him. I mean, Pittsburgh, they're good with reclamation projects, so maybe. And then a team that really needed it, Baltimore, could possibly go for an Anibal Sanchez. But if the Tigers do a full rebuild, like Verlander, Cabrera, V-Mart, if somebody can take him, J-Up, Zimmerman. Zimmerman's for another one. I actually like that signing. But if they do need to do that, which I would not have any quarrels against, they could restock their farm system immensely and be good within just a few years, I believe. But back to what I believe they should do, just a regular retooling like in 2015. It pains me to say this, but why can't they do what the Yankees did in 2016? The Yankees had a veteran group with some rookies thrown in. They traded. They were above 500, but they were few teams back of the wild card, like the Tigers were in 2015. Tigers were below 500, but by 2 games. But the Yankees were above 500, but they were a few teams back of the wild card. They traded Andrew Miller, Aroldis Chapman, Ivan Nova, and Carlos Beltran. They restocked their farm system from one of the bottom 5 to number 1 farm system in baseball, while getting a lot of good young prospects back. And with their veteran team, with their rookies, with some of their younger players thrown in, they almost made it to the playoffs. They almost made it to the postseason in 2016 because of what they did. Why can't the Tigers be smart and do something like that? I don't know. So that's... I know I've gone on a lot about that, but I needed to get it off my chest. So I believe they need to be sellers. They could get maybe similar to what they did in 2015, which would really, really help. Because all the prospects they got were higher level prospects. And they need to do that again. Because they can, if they are smart and do like what the Yankees did, they could be good immediately. If they do maybe not immediately, but it could pay dividends in a year or two, and the Tigers could be back to prominence within 2 or 3 years. If they do a full rebuild, but if they do a full rebuild and they're smart about it, maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 at tops. It would hurt a bit, but it would really, really help them. It really would. But if they are dumb about it, like, I can see them being very dumb about it. I'm sorry to say, like, I don't think the front office is the best. I don't think that this current front office will be very good at it. So we might have another 1990s or maybe hopefully not early 2000s. I mean, you don't want another 90s either, but we might see that if they don't do anything smart, like if they just stand pat, or if they buy this year. If they buy this year, I'm done. I'm just not even going to pay attention to them anymore. That's going to be very hard. But if they stand pat, I can live with it, but I'm going to be super upset. But if they're smart and just make 1, 2 moves, just do something, I will be happy. But I just don't think this front office has it in them. So I just want to get my thoughts out there. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not like and share the video? It'd be much appreciated. And why not subscribe for more Talking Detroit Tigers? I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.